You're listening to Drinks and a Movie with your host, Rudy. Spoiler alert.
All right, welcome to Drinks and a Movie podcast, everybody. I'm back here with Carissa, and the weekend is over. We both have now seen 28 years later, finally, the long anticipated sequel to 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later. Back with Danny Boyle directing, Alex Garland writing, and Anthony Dodd Mantle on the cinematography again. So, should be fun. Should be good. I definitely have some thoughts about this movie. I know you do too. I mean, it's a little more fresh in your mind, so we'll start with you. Well, let me give the quick little synopsis first. So, obviously, we're 28 years in. Man, I already forgot their names, but like all our our main characters.
Okay. So it's Jamie. Jamie's the dad.
And then Spike, right?
Is the son, and then Isla is the wife, but it's mainly Jamie, the dad, and Spike, the son.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Yeah. So we're 28 years in. We have Jamie, father, and Spike, his son, and they go out. They're on this island. You know, that's where they've been kind of protected, and they're protected by like this high tide that, you know, blocks the one path off the island to the mainland. And it's kind of a coming of age movie where essentially it's this kid's rite of passage. He's now 12 years old, so his father's taking him out to the mainland to kill his first infected and to kind of experience it, because as people are growing up on this island, they don't, you know, leave until this, you know, moment. So it's this big like event in the town of like, yeah, he's going and doing it, and everyone's cheering him. And so that happens, and then also his mother's sick, so it's kind of two movies in one, so it's hard to give that synopsis. So there's that, and then the next kind of half of the movie is him trying to find a doctor for his sick mother. So, you know, kind of breaking out of the walls and taking her on this adventure. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where I felt the trailer was better than the movie. Like the trailer was so good, like the first one, and like
100%.
so well edited. It was like the same thing with like Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Like that trailer was so amazing, and the movie just wasn't up to par, which is always interesting to me when like a trailer is better. You know, when they hit all the beats and yeah.
The trailer like kind of gave us like a reminiscent feel of the original movies too.
Yeah.
They played it so different. And then after seeing this movie, I was like, who was the cinematographer? Who directed this? Who chose these shots? I was so shocked when I watched this movie. And I should have listened to you when you said go in without any expectations. I should have done that. Yeah. But I thought I was like, yeah, because I love 28 Days Later. I liked 28 Weeks Later. And then this one, I was very disappointed in it. And I hate that I'm disappointed because I was really excited because Danny Boyle's, you know, it was the sequel. He was directing it again. I was like, oh, snap. Like, this is going to be a throwback. You know what I mean? And I don't know. But then also, they modernized a lot of stuff, which I get, but still.
Well, what do you mean with that part, though? They modernized it.
Okay, so like some of these kills, the way it was filmed, I hated it.
I guess let's jump into that. That did take me out of the movie. So, and this was the thing where people were. Go ahead, lay it out.
There's two really big things that took me out.
Mm-hmm.
That and the cutaways to the ancient, like Romans or whatever shooting and like all these cut-ins, and I was like,
yeah, that was really. It's like they cut to like Errol Flynn movies or something. Yeah, that was really interesting and seemed just unnecessary. Like this movie. So this movie is quite different. That's the thing. Like, and we're gonna get into spoilers, everybody, as you already know, because that's at the front of the episode. But I'm gonna throw that out there again, and I will say, as Carissa said too, if you haven't seen it yet, you just don't go in expecting the first movie kind of rehouse. It's quite different. I feel like it's a more spiritual approach that they took, and I'm torn with that because on one hand, it's like, okay, and Danny Boyle, even back then, was never like a fan of the zombie genre. He wanted to do something different, hence the running and the virus, and he like didn't follow the same rules and lore. And he got a lot of flack for that from the people that are super passionate about like zombie films because that very much has its own community of fans.
Yeah.
And I mean, which is part of, I think, why they weren't directly involved with the second one, and they never quite like wanted to do the franchise thing, you know. And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, him and Alex Garland like split up, whether it had to do with that or something different. I don't know all those details, but yeah, having them back, I'm torn because I can at least appreciate it's like, okay, perhaps it's my fault for going and thinking you're just going to give it to us again. And I mean, it's 20 plus years later, so you grow as like an artist and a filmmaker, and it's like, you know, I got to give it to him to, yeah, do something different. You know what I mean? Don't just like retread the same path you already took, especially in a world where we've had like 11 seasons of The Walking Dead and all this other movies like since then. You know, I guess it's like, yeah, what else do you do? But so I'm torn in that regard. But I will say what you mentioned, like those parts that kind of took you out of it, really took me out of it in terms of how it was shot when they did the bullet time thing, you know, from like the Matrix days. So we mentioned in the 28 weeks later episode how it was already like in the movie news that they shot this on iPhone 15s with like anamorphic lenses and stuff. So that was a thing. And it seemed kind of cool because it's like, yeah, that's like a successor to like shooting on the mini DV camcorder back in the day, like standard def videotape. But and obviously they did some like infrared stuff, which had to be a different camera. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But they used the phones because they did the bullet time thing where they could rig a bunch of them up like in like a semicircle, and they would do these shots where it's like one of the infected gets hit through the head with like an arrow, and then it like freezes, and then the camera like rotates around them, like it just. So it's that fancy, like literally like bullet time. It's the same thing. It's like what we saw in the Matrix back in the day. So that was a really interesting. Like the first time it happened, I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's different." And then they did it a few more times, and I'm like,
kept happening.
yeah, and it and it felt weird because it just took me out. It's like I'm not even like you pause the movie to be like, hey, here's this really cool thing we just did, and then okay, now we're back to the movie. That's how it felt. It just like jolted me out of the whole thing. It was kind of odd. I don't know. It felt very much like an indie film too, on the big screen in the theaters, you know what I mean? Like, which was interesting too. Like, it almost made me surprised that they gave them the money to make this. I think it was 80 million or something, which I guess by today's standards isn't even that much, but it felt very much like a kind of a boots on the ground indie movie. We're going to try out some shit that no one else is like getting paid to do. I don't know. Did you feel that way at all? Maybe that's just
No,
me.
I
I don't
felt
know.
I didn't. I felt like it, like all the shots, like this one, as opposed to any of the other movies, was so like when the kid and the dad are running across at night. I was
Mm,
like, oh my gosh! I'm like, this is like probably the most gorgeous scenes I've seen in a movie, you know. And it was just very like interesting because they're like when they're standing up on the mountain and looking out, and the mom has cancer and is forgetting everything, and
mm,
it's like I'm like, why I don't know. I was just like, with this movie, I was just like, yo, okay, so why nobody brings their kid out there at 12 to like kill things? They practice there. It's dragging them out. It all just seemed very, I don't know. I really like, I had a real hard time getting into it, getting into
mm.
this movie. I had a real hard time getting into it.
I mean, I did like that aspect of it. That seemed like, okay, yeah, 28 years in the future, and you've got kids that were like born into this world and they're sheltered on this island. Like I
Um,
liked that idea,
yeah.
you know, the
But
you once you reach this age, we're gonna take you out to like see the reality and what you've been like learning to do bow and arrows for all this time. And
yeah,
I like the coming of
100%.
age aspect.
But that when the mom was like, no, they don't go out till 15. Why are you taking him at 12? Well, he's ready. Okay. Well, that just seems kind of dumb if you guys have never had a zombie invasion on the island and you're going to take him out of it 3 years younger than everybody. You know what I mean? I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, well, and it's just you two. You're not going to bring an extra person for the first time.
Well, I guess,
It just seems
yeah,
like,
I guess that's the thing is it's like one, you don't want me justifying it as if it's real, but I guess it's like you don't want to risk other people's lives. And it's very much like, to me, it felt like the father son bonding. Like, I've never been hunting, but I know that's a thing with people like fathers and sons go hunting and all that. It's like, an experience and a bonding. And I wonder too, like, I didn't think too much about the fact that even at the gate, they're like, "Are you sure you want to do this? He should wait a couple years till he's 14 or whatever, 13." And he's like, "Yeah, he's ready." I wonder, I mean, maybe there's something in there to be said about, like, I don't know, Aaron
I guess
Taylor
setting up.
Johnson, like wanting his son to be like a man. You know what I mean?
Well,
Maybe.
yeah, because they did establish that throughout when the mom's like, yeah, he just wants you to grow up. I didn't like another thing that I didn't like how like there's just so much exposition
Mm.
throughout at the beginning. They're just talking about like it was just so odd, like, okay, so why are we doing this? Walk me through. And the lady's like, just so you know, if you go out there. And I'm just like, I don't know. I like to
Well,
be things other than told things.
yeah.
And
Well, sorry, my bad.
no, continue.
No, I was just like, that didn't bother me that bit. Like, because I felt as an audience like that I needed to know. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you? I mean, I guess to show that we would have to have a whole entire scene of someone going out and asking for help and getting killed or whatever. But I actually like, which maybe the movie could have used that a little more depth. But I actually like that moment and just like the dire circumstances and how like real it is for this kid, like that this lady and these people at the gate are telling him like once you're out there you're on your own until you get back, like no one's coming for you, no one's gonna save you, there's no rescue parties, we don't do that. If you go missing, that's that. So I like that. I mean, I
It's
guess when I think the exposition, it would be
because like why tell him? Because he hasn't known anything different. You know what I mean? It's not like 28 weeks later where they're like, listen, if you're gonna go out there, nobody's gonna get you. There's nobody out there to save you.
yeah.
Like he
Well,
grew
they're
up there.
telling him
Yeah.
because it's his first time going out.
I
So
don't know.
so
I
he
it was
doesn't
all just
know.
so ridiculous. I was like, bro, I was like, he probably knows that if like he's lived there, his dad goes out all the time.
Yeah.
His dad, the main hunter, is like, I don't know. I just felt like the exposition was too much for like it just handheld us as an audience, and I didn't like that either. But
Hmm.
also, I guess in the sense for the younger generations who weren't around 25, 26 years later, they don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah,
So
and
maybe that's more so.
that's what I mean. Like they are very sheltered. Like they literally have no idea until they step foot
Oh,
over there,
I
you
mean,
know?
the audience,
Oh, we're like new people.
we're
Yeah.
old. I'm talking about like the 18, 19-year-olds that go and see this movie
Right.
who,
That
you know what
don't
I
know.
mean?
Yeah.
Probably maybe the new one or the older ones.
Well, and here's another thing with that. So when they get onto the mainland, there's the like the really fat, like the obese, like wormy zombies, and I'm just gonna call them zombies because even that guy Eric says that, which is funny because you never say the Z word in one of these movies,
Yeah.
but he calls them that. But so you saw the movie today. I saw it a couple days ago. Did I miss a part where the dad explains what exactly the wormy ones are? One, they were super creepy. They were the creepiest
They
ones.
were like the nasty. No, they're just fat and slow. And that was their thing. They're just like kind of big and slow.
Yeah,
But
I guess I just don't understand like how you can be obese when you're like living off of worms. You know what I mean? But I
right?
guess it
I'm like
just
everyone's
to look creepy
starving,
because
right?
they were the scariest looking things, and like
Oh my God,
the
they were
way they
gross.
like squealed was really like weird, and then
They made them squeal like pigs.
yeah,
It was
it made me
crazy.
really uncomfortable.
Yeah, 100%. You know what's so wild is that when they were doing this, um, I felt like I was like, wait a second, 28 years, have they like, developed a sort of relationship? Because then there was that little fat one that looked younger.
Yeah, it looked like a
Like,
family.
is she the kid? Oh my God, are they having family? And that's what goes into the other thing
Yeah. Yeah,
later in the movie.
and and that was an interesting way to evolve it, because I know we talked about this in the other episode. Like, all right, how do we get past the fact that in the other movie they said that they like started starving and all that, and really it's like everyone who's infected kind of it became like they're like animals basically, and so
Yeah.
yeah, they like I guess breathe. There was even that shot where they're in the water and just like doing whatever the heck they do and normal
All
stuff, and
hanging
like
out together and
yeah,
like
and
going like
there.
there's a go ahead, say it.
Oh
There's
no, I was
a
just gonna say there's a whole like alpha thing now too, and that they're just like eating animals. So I'm like, all right, I suppose that makes sense. Like that's the next, they're like mindless people, but they still have the instinct to like feed themselves and stuff like that. But
procreate.
yeah, that was interesting. And yeah, that infrared stuff kind of took me out of the movie as well when it went all like red and the glowing eyes and stuff. But it was kind of cool. It took me out, but it was still kind of neat. It was made for some creepy shots, but it would do those fast cuts and like you said, go from there to those old movie, nights, like kind of swashbuckling movies and war footage and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I meant. Like when I posted my video, I'm like, there's some bold editing choices in this
Whoa.
movie. Like,
Mad. But and then like the music, I was like, it wasn't like atmospheric music. It was like songs. I was like, what is going on?
yeah,
This is wild.
yeah,
Like
no John Murphy score on this one.
I could tell.
I will say though, I mean, and again, I do. There's aspects of it that I do like where, they definitely, um, evolve the shooting style. Like I was really, besides Danny Boyle and Alex Garland being back on this one, I was really interested in like, all right, Anthony Dodd Mantle, this should be interesting. How does this dude, do it now? And there's moments where it does feel very much in tune with the original movie. Like let's talk about that opening scene that takes place like in the in the original Outbreak, which I did like. I just wish it topped the opening from 28 weeks later. Like if it seemed like it could have been that
It
it could have
could
been as good or better, and it didn't quite surpass it.
have.
Because man, I mean, they set the tone when they like killed
Had
off
the
all those
kids
little
and the
kids.
Teletubbies?
Yeah,
Oh, they could
like,
have made it like insane. Is there rules against like massacring kids on television or something or in movies?
I don't think so, but I'm sure it's just kind of frowned upon. But they did it
Well,
like it's off screen, but you clearly know it's happening. And I thought that was
yeah.
another bold move where I'm like, oh shit, but yeah, that makes sense. Like,
Like when the door, I was thinking when when they started banging on the door, it's gonna fly up and smack the kid and everybody's gonna run. I thought it was gonna be like
uh,
insane,
uh,
but it felt very kind of like censored or muted. It didn't feel as insane as I thought it was gonna be.
yeah,
And
I
then
mean, yeah, it just didn't. Because everything was good when he does get outside the door and like a lady's getting thrown down the stairs and they're breaking through the windows and it's like
yeah,
cameras moving around and they're like, run, get out of here and all that. Like all that I thought was
yeah.
pretty good. But
He runs to the church and
mhm.
Father, the church guy's crazy. He's like, oh, it's the reckoning, hooray.
Yeah, that was really
All
like, sorry,
says.
son, just fend for yourself. I'm just gonna let
Yeah,
myself die.
insane. I thought the idea though of the island with the high tide, low tide, that was
Mhm.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Such a great idea. For why nothing, because I mean, like that's the best, like I'm like, oh, that's great.
Hmm.
Um, I really like that. I did like the kid actor. He was good. I like the dad. I liked all that stuff. I thought when they went to the island, it was crazy. Um, the alpha, I was like, bro. And then so the theater was packed today.
Okay.
So when I saw the alpha, I was like, I can't believe Jason Momoa was in this movie. I'm like, that's not Jason
Yeah.
Momoa,
Does not
bro.
look like him.
It was just really funny because I
Like
was like, what the fuck?
anyone with a beard is now Jason. It looked nothing like him. I
Yeah.
I do what was I gonna say? You mentioned the kid. I thought he was really good, especially in like being. I think he's new. What's his fool's
Is
name?
he?
And considering that he like carried the movie on his back, because I'm
Hmm.
sure I definitely went in, and I'm sure most of us did. Like, oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson is like that's the star of the movie. That's the guy, you know. But he
Yeah.
gets sidelined after the first, I'd say third, not even like half of the movie, the first third of the movie.
Yeah, he's done.
And yeah, and the kid really carries the whole thing on his shoulders. And
Yeah, he did.
um
What's that? Alfie Williams.
yeah. And
Yeah.
man, I thought like really, really good job, especially when you're, you know, with like Ray Fiennes and all. The mother was good too. I mean, she was really good. I don't know what else she's from, but
Yeah,
um
I've never seen her before, so I have no idea.
yeah,
But yeah,
she looked kind of familiar, but I couldn't place it. Julie Comer.
mm,
Yeah. I don't know. Um, oh, the Bike Riders. That's what I know her from. That movie with Tom Hardy and that Austin
watch
guy.
that one. I didn't
But
watch.
yeah, man. Okay, now I was like, man, where's she from? But that's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that kid did a hell of a job carrying it on his shoulders. And a moment I did like that was suspenseful for me, intense, is when they do first him and the father get chased by them, and the dad's like, all right, we got to do our little formations. Like, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to take out two. And we're going to go a little bit. You turn around, you do it. And when the kid kept like missing it, and I'm just like, oh
Shaking
my
the
God.
baby. Yeah.
I'm
That
like,
one, that was one of the times when I was like, ah, and then when they get into the house,
and they're trying to like
they're
get
like, they're
up to
gonna get in
the
the attic. Yeah.
attic. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
That was all right. And that felt like that shooting style going back to Anthony Dodd Mantle. That
yes.
started to feel like the original movie, just like the cutting style and the angles and just the kinetic
Claustrophobia, being
energy.
trapped.
Yeah. Hmm.
Really
Yeah.
good. I liked all that. And I did. So was that scene when they're running back? That was like heavily CGI'd, was it?
When they're running back to the island.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so,
Yeah,
probably
it
like a
had
lot
to
of
have
green
been.
screen stuff. Well, and there was
And
like the what do you call it, like Aurora
so
Borealis, right?
yeah,
Am I
and
making
that's
that
the
up?
thing. I was like,
A lot of that kind of stuff.
where did they, I wasn't sure where they filmed. I'm like, oh, maybe because you can see it way more in certain parts of the world, but I wasn't sure if they filmed it.
I forget.
But
It's just out. It's near Scotland. I
mhm.
forgot the name of the place where they shot it. I don't think it's an actual island though, where they did it, or maybe it is. I don't know. I shouldn't even speak to it.
Who knows?
Holy Island
Yeah.
of Lindisfarne, Bearswick upon Tweed,
Aurora.
Northumberland, England. Yeah.
I thought that was a really pretty scene. I wasn't expecting to see it so pretty, but then like that also does go hand in hand where they're just like, oh, look how beautiful the world is when the humans aren't fucking it all up. I was
Right. Yeah.
surprised though that they ran back because I'm like, the alpha's chasing. I mean, where else are they going to go? But I'm like, I thought it was going to be a completely different movie. Maybe they set that up on purpose to where now the alpha knows where it is, or like now the
And
other
then
zombies
yeah,
come.
they'd attack the. No,
Yeah.
you're right. It seems like it might go that way, and I think they were good in. See, and this is where I kind of got to give it to them is those moments where it seems like it's going to be predictable. They don't do that thing because I think any other, like if I was making the movie, that's what I would have done, you know? And even to the point too of once the kid goes out with his mother, I am 100% expecting the father to show up at any minute to save the
Me
day and go after them. Like
too.
it was really surprising to me that he like never was out there, that he never went after his son. That was wild. Like I was fully expecting that, and it didn't happen. And yeah, I mean, I thought that was all right. I like one other aspect I like too is it does say in the opening text how the UK was quarantined and this and that. It seems like 28 weeks later they're just like retconning that, but I like that how that calls back to the original movie where that soldier that gets executed was saying that we're just
The
quarantined, like the rest of the world's moving
ah,
on and they just left us here for dead. And then Jim sees the plane and all that. And that they stuck with that idea. So that's really interesting. And because my understanding is they're gonna do a trilogy. So there's like the next
I
movie is already shot and like ready to go.
yeah. I
Yeah.
just saw that. I had no idea. But what's the next one? It's like 28 years or something,
It's called like
something.
the
And I'm
Bone Yard or the Bone Temple
the
or
bone,
something.
20, oh
I think it's the
God, the
Bone
Bone
Temple.
Temple.
And
I
Nia
was like, what?
DaCosta directing, which is interesting because I like the Candyman remake. So she did the Candyman remake. I thought that was good. She did the
Mm,
Marvels, which wasn't good, and they kind of chewed her up and spit her out. So hopefully, she'll do
mm.
something good with this movie. We'll see.
This will
But
be the comeback.
yeah,
But no,
but
going back to what you said, I do like how they did that because then they showed it in the movie with the soldier, an iPhone, and the
yeah,
kid's like, "What's that?" They had a lot of comedic moments in
that
this.
yeah. I thought all that, yeah,
What?
the guy's name is Eric, that soldier. Like all the talk
Mhm.
between him and the kid, I did think was funny. There were some good lines in there of, "Oh, you don't know
Like,
what this
what's
is.
wrong with your
You don't know what that
girlfriend?
is." Yeah, you don't know. Oh yeah. He's like, "Oh, we got someone here that's allergic to bees, so when she
The
gets
shelf,
stung, her
her
lips
lips blow up
shellfish."
like
That's
that.
it. Yeah, yeah.
That's really funny.
That I'm glad. Yeah, that was a really great moment. Well, too, when he's like carrying the mom, and then when she comes to and she starts going on, and he's like, "Wait, she can walk?" Like stuff
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, no,
it was
all
really.
their talk was really funny, and just the whole idea of this kid that has no idea of this, and also these soldiers that are on the island for the first time, so they don't even really know what's up. And I do. I can appreciate how aggressive he is too after he saves the two of them at that gas station or that food mart or whatever, and he just tells the kid like, "All right, what do we do next?" And the kid's like, "Oh, I
You're
don't
from
know."
the
And he's like, "What
island.
are you
What do
talking about? Yeah,
you
you're a native. What do we do? Like, what's the next move?" I'm like, "I'm stuck here. Like, nobody leaves and nobody. If as soon as you step
do?
foot on this island, like you're
Yeah.
not getting out and all that." And I thought that was interesting. It's funny how quickly all those soldiers got whacked though. Like, God, come on. Um,
Bro.
the stuff with the
But
baby though.
okay,
Interesting. That was one of those moments where I'm like, man, I don't know about this. You know?
listen, I'm sorry. There's no effing way that this not this infected with like the power of motherhood. No fucking way. No way.
The
Because
power of
guess what?
motherhood kept it from being infected.
Kept her no, oh no, kept her from attacking the woman in the
Oh,
bus.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah. When they're like clasping
No.
hands. And stuff.
No, no, because people see their like dead family, like, the person you love the most in the world. And this stranger, when you have this rage disease, comes up and is like, No, no. And the baby too, okay? And the baby. Come on. And the baby. But that one, that's the first one I was like, yo, there's no. Like it
Yeah.
transcends everything. No,
I'm glad
no.
that at the very least
At the end.
the zombie mother like went crazy and then tried to like kill them again all of a sudden. But yeah, no, that was the power of motherhood. That's hilarious. Yeah.
I'm sorry. And like that she would know to grab her hands. Isn't she like a mindless?
Yeah,
It
I guess
just,
that they have some degree of like memory or instinct or something, perhaps. I don't know.
Rudy, I don't think
As
it's
much as
going
the
to be.
plot deems it. So
But yeah, so that no. And then yeah, the only one redeeming thing with that was that yes, she came to and was going to kill everybody. I love that. Good. But the baby, dude, there was a baby born in this movie, you guys, as an infected gave birth to a baby on a bus with everybody present, and they cut the umbilical cord, and that baby was fine.
yeah, non-infected. Non-infected. And Ray Fiennes says something at some point, and I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't know, but he's like, the power of the placenta. So I don't
Yeah, no,
know.
that's what he said.
Does that
And I'm like,
save babies from the germs, from the
we'll leave it
virus?
at that. I liked his character though.
I did too.
He
And
was that was very surprising. I didn't expect to see him there. I was like, oh shit.
yeah. Well, I like how they really set it up for him to be like a creepy weirdo and the father doesn't even want to talk about it. And when he does tell the story of like, yo, we went there and he just lined up all these bodies and just waved at us like everything was fine. And it was the weirdest thing. So we haven't been back in 15 years or whatever.
Yeah,
Like that was the last time.
that was funny.
But yeah, he was oh, excuse me, a good character. I wanted to learn more about him though, and then he says some stuff of like, "Oh, sorry for the red. I cover myself in." I forgot what it
Iodine.
was, but iodine. But the virus doesn't like it or whatever, and shooting morphine darts. And I just wanted to know too. It's like, okay, I mean, but you're just living here out in the open, and you've been out here for 20 some years. Like, what's your? I just wish we had a little more of like, what is his
So do they
situation?
know
He's
you? Like,
right, right. Because clearly they're still gonna attack him and everything, but again, you're like out in the open, and these things like will swarm you in like a horde, like a gang of them come after you, and
yeah.
so that was kind of interesting. I mean, I imagine that he'll probably come back to play in the next movie, and that's another thing that ultimately with this film. Well, I guess before moving on, I do think the stuff with his mother was like sad and he's got to let her go, and I guess like that's part of the coming of age and blah blah blah, but at the same time I don't know that it just didn't fully do it for me, that whole
No, because it
element of
was
the
happened.
story of him taking his mom because he wants her to be healthy, takes her to the doctor, she got cancer, like it just didn't land for me. Like there were some good emotional beats and emotional moments, and that's what I mean, especially this half of it feels more like spiritual in a way, but
Everybody's gonna die. How do you want to die? It could be
yeah.
painful. End their lives, do it in like, yeah. Um, I don't know. We'll continue. I want to hear what you have to say about
No,
that.
that was it. I was just saying, like, I feel kind of, I think it fell flat for me for the most part. You know what I mean? And maybe it's just because I wasn't expecting it. So I wonder if after some time, and that's a weird thing with this movie, if months and months or years down the line, if I'm going to watch this again and have a completely different take on it and like appreciate it more.
Uh,
But
yeah, I mean, in that sense, I think I might go see it again after the shock of my expectations wear off.
mhm.
And maybe I will look at it through a different lens. I was just thinking and kind of hoping to get something more along the lines of like the movies that I enjoyed before. So maybe I wasn't as open to a movie like this style that it was. But there is also the times in it where I was like, well, I maybe like it doesn't like fall in line with like, whatever. But there is also some very, very, very interesting left field choices that I don't think anybody was expecting. And I don't think that really played any part into the movie. You
Right.
know, like the cutaway scenes. I don't think
Yeah.
that had anything to do with anything. Like,
Yeah. It didn't, yeah, it just didn't work. Didn't work.
because we understand the archery. You don't have to tell me about the art. I
Yeah.
don't have to be back in medieval days. Like, I
Right.
get it, bro. Um, I did like the soldier though. I did like I thought it was fun bringing in a little bit of like comedic relief and like comfortability and like, I thought that was nice.
hmm
And I don't know. I thought the zombie baby, I guess, showing birth and death and rebirth and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It didn't like I was just like, bro, it's just feeling like too much of like the movies out that what they're doing these days is trying to have all these weird underlying like I don't know. It just kind of felt like that for me. And I was just like, oh God, like the whole
Right.
mother thing. I
Like
was like,
I didn't sign up for this for the 28 years later movie.
literally, I
Like
didn't.
I didn't know this was gonna be the one for
Like
that.
this is the one where I have to see like women conquer all. Like no, no.
Yeah.
I was just very shocked because I was like, bro. And they made that prosthetic penis on that one thing way too big. Come on. That was insane. I was like, it was like distracting.
I thought it was real. Maybe it was real. I don't know.
No, it was definitely a prosthetic. And it was just funny seeing everybody just running around butt naked. I mean, I get it. 28 years, like their clothes are definitely going to be gone.
Yeah.
But
And I kind of I thought they did a good job with that. One, I like
oh,
that
it
that
looked
is
amazing.
the world of it of like, yeah, it wouldn't make sense if they still had all their stuff from that
Oh,
long. So I like that they did that and they did a good job of it. Like besides those couple shots you're talking about, it wasn't too distracting to me because
No.
there's enough makeup and it's always like just dark enough or silhouetted enough, you know what I mean, to like not
They had
show
like
a lot of
dirt
it.
covering up, yeah, dirt covering up the butthole and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, like
there's
really, they
enough
did a
hiding
great,
it. Yeah. To where
they
you
did a
can
great
do that
job.
and get away with it because I'm sure if it was like too out in the open with how many of them are running around, like this would be a, NC-17 or whatever movie.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, you do watch a baby getting birth on the TV on the movie, so that's always fun.
Yeah, that does happen.
But that show was like, And then, I mean, obviously, I mean, I think that Alpha was definitely the dad. I think that's what they were trying to play at.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
The Alpha was the daddy. And then I'm
Mhm.
like, does he want his daughter back? Are they gonna, like, I'm like, is that what we're going with now? Is like they have family pods and because
Right.
you saw the big big fat ones that are like all wiggling on the ground. They had a
Yeah.
family. There's a mom, a dad, a son, and a daughter. That was
Hmm.
wild.
Yeah. Really weird. That shit was just disturbing. But
Oh,
I
that was so
what one moment that like really juiced me up though, and it kind of bothers me in this sense is, the stuff happens with the mother, she's gone, Ray finds and the kid get attacked and they're fine in the end, and he's like, I think you should go home now. And he's like, all right. And he takes the baby home. I just felt when we got to this point, it was very much like, oh man, like this whole movie is just setting up the next one. Like, so it's disappointing to feel that way for like the movie to end. And it's like this whole thing was just like the prologue to like the next film where it's all right, the next one is where it's really going to go down now, and supposedly, hopefully, we'll get Cillian Murphy in the next one. But even I think I heard Danny Boyle say that he doesn't even show up till like the end, and the third movie he's going to be all in it. I don't know. Hopefully, that's not true because that's what we want. And also, it's like the third one is going to be dependent on like the box office success of the next movie coming out. Like if it doesn't make enough money, they're not going to do that third one. So now it like has to be good and people got to show up. But are enough people going to show up after how polarizing this one is? I don't know.
this one, yeah. I don't know, because like, the diehard fans of the like I feel like, like you said, there was like two groups. There was like people that were expecting, this and it kind of left a bad taste in their mouth with how different it was. And it's like other people are like, yay, zombie movies, hooray. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
this moment though, like even though it felt like the setup for the next one, I will say, and possibly my favorite part of the movie though, is they reuse that music from the first movie. I forgot the name of it. Black Emperor or something. But the music that like builds up in crescendos, like once he walks out of the hospital, and it's that montage of him and like all the iconic shots of London, and he's like walking around alone, Jim.
Yeah.
Just like hello, and that music builds up, and it's like shots of the clock tower and all the buildings and the Ferris wheel and all the like missing people on the wall. When they reuse that musical track, I thought was brilliant, and it's over the kid's like voiceover of the letter that he left to his father, because he took the baby back with the
Yeah.
letter, and
I'm
then
gonna
now we have this montage where he's like, "Yeah, I decided I'm not coming home. I'm just gonna go out and explore the world," and all that shit was like cool. Just again the build because the music like makes the scene, and then we finally see the dad again, and they have the baby, and it puts everything in this like, oh shit, it's a good like cliffhanger moment. And then him like cooking the fish in the middle of the street on the fire, and you see the one like infected in the distance coming at him, and now he has to like fend for himself, like he's
Yeah.
alone, no one's gonna help him. All that was super cool. And then but then
Yeah,
he's
I did
backed
like
up against the wall, right?
it's all over.
And you hear a voice, and I thought it was going to be Jim's voice. I was hoping so bad that it would be.
Bitch, me
Yeah.
too.
When he's like, oh, or whatever. But then it sounded like him. I feel like they wanted people to think that. But then it's the kid from the opening scene of the movie, which for half the movie, I was like, when's this going to pop up? Like, I'm assuming it's the dad, or something.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. And then I finally got to a point where I just stopped thinking about it. And then finally we see this fool. And this was such a bizarre moment. And so my theater, yours was packed. So I'm interested to hear the reaction. In mine, there was maybe like six of us because I went to like a 1 p.m. showing on Thursday, like
Okay.
the first showing of the day, like I went on my lunch break and people were like chuckling when these tracksuit ninjas were like doing flips and like fighting these things. And there's like
Tinky
this
Winky,
weird music
Dipsy
playing. And
song. Like,
yeah,
what? I was like, what the fuck
that
is
was
happening?
that was another one of those like really bold choices that made it feel like some weird indie movie. And yeah, people started
Yes.
chuckling and I did too. I was like, what the fuck is like
I'm like,
what
wait.
is happening? And it's funny, I left a comment earlier on a podcast that I was on, the Matt and Mark movie show. Go check them out, people. They have a really fun movie podcast, but we'll leave comments sometimes. And he posted an out of the theater review like I did, but way longer and fancier. And I left that comment about because he did non spoilers, and I just said, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that one moment, really, the first thing I thought of was the fucking ninja priest in Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. Was like immediately what I thought. And he responded, and he's like, "Wow, yeah, that's a good comparison." And that if there was ever a moment that was going to take me out of the movie, it was that moment because now I'm thinking of the ninja priest from Dead Alive, which if you've seen that movie,
You
is
understand.
crazy. Yeah, but that one was at least on brand. Like this, not so much. So sorry, I talked a lot. I want to hear your experience with that moment.
I sat there and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's been so many moments like that in the movie for me. And honestly, like, I am going to watch it again because sometimes, like, if I watch it again, this is my first time going to the movies by myself. I loved it. I'm going to start going to the movies by myself now. This was amazing. But this is the first time I wish I had somebody with me so I could be like, what the fuck?
Right,
But
bounce off.
I was by myself and
Yeah.
I was watching. I was like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? What is going on in this movie? There's been so many moments where I'm like, what? And I mean, I was very shocked. That was very out of left field. I did not see that coming. But you know what? Everything in this movie, I did not see any of it coming at all. Not from the trailer. I did not expect any of the things I saw. I did not expect a pregnant zombie having a non-zombie baby. I was not expecting, mother and mother to cross dimensional paths. I don't know how to explain that. I was just not expecting this,
Yeah. I
you know,
wonder. I wonder if it was like for the best that you saw it by yourself, so you didn't have someone next to you to like, so that it's
to
like
like fuel my rage.
purely like you taking in the information and not
Yeah,
like being influenced by anyone. Like, because I
100%.
remember there was another movie you told me. So was it In a Violent Nature, where because like part of your experience was
Oh,
like your friend like talking to you, and you
yeah,
both
she's
were
like,
like,
this
yeah, what is
sucks. I
this?
hate this. Oh, this is awful. But then I also had an edible and I sat there and I was just staring and everything wasn't moving. I'm like, is this not moving or am I not moving? And I will never do an edible before a scary movie again. That was just silly of me. But yeah, she was like, she's like, I want to leave. This is so stupid. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, okay. But I was like, we can't leave though. We have to watch this fucking movie. Like, we're gonna watch the movie.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that nobody was there with me. But I mean, the ridiculousness of it, I mean, I don't know. I gotta watch it again and be open because I feel like I did have expectations going in. And like you said, this is a movie you can't have expectations. I feel like maybe I will feel different about it when I watch it as a standalone, not hoping for like a connection between the other movies that I really loved.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, definitely more standalone for sure. I've been wanting to see it too. Like today, there's a moment where it's like, man, should I go watch it again? But I was like not feeling up to it. So maybe later in the week, I'm kind of curious if my thoughts will change. Like you said, now that the initial, not seeing it, but yeah,
Exactly. Because,
I mean,
maybe I'll feel more open to, accepting what like the underlying stories are or, the difficult like mother father fucking son relationships, or more accepting that the mom, right when she found out she had cancer, she was like, all right, kill me then. And I was like, not even one more
Right.
day together? Like, what the fuck?
Right. I know, huh? Yeah.
I was like, just like that. Okay. Now he has his baby, and now he has to go. And I was like, okay, like the acceptance, the placing the skull on the very, very tippy top where there was just one room for one more skull. I was like,
Yeah.
really? You know, I just have to relax with this movie and just relax because they did do a great job. I'm sure, like, if I watch it again, this will be a great standalone movie because there's really no connection to the other ones.
Yeah.
And I have to accept that.
I will say too, it wasn't very scary. Honestly, I thought it'd be scarier. It wasn't very scary. Even when the soldiers are in that tunnel, like it didn't really get there. Like I said, the creepiest thing by far was the little fat wormy people.
Yeah.
Easily the scariest, the creepiest stuff. But yeah, there wasn't really any parts in the movie where I was like, shit, like I'm scared of what's about to
There,
happen.
yeah. There was no sense of dread. Like I
Yeah, that's a good way
wasn't
to put it.
nervous for anybody. Like I was like, oh, like there was no sense of, and I knew at the end of the day, we all knew the mom was probably going to die, and we
Yeah.
all knew the boy was going to survive. So there was no, like, oh shit, are they going to make it? Because we know he is. So I don't think that was set up very well either,
Yeah,
Because
and
like in the other,
that's
you don't know. You're like, oh my God, are they going to be in the next one? Are they going to die? Are they going to live? Like what the fuck?
yeah. And that's where it could have been, where I could have used a few more people to die. Like even the Eric character, like he provides that kind of comic relief. That's when there's a little more humor in the movie. But
Mhm.
ultimately, besides that, and I mean, I don't know what more I would want, but necessarily. So, but he doesn't add a whole lot. It's like he comes in, he's there for like 10 minutes, and then all right, he's out, he's dead. And that is a point that felt very much like, all right, we just need another person that we can graphically kill
Yeah.
right now. Um, but I could, in that case, I could have used a little more of that. But I guess ultimately, if I think back to the first movie, it's not like that necessarily had a lot of kills. Like it really doesn't until you get to the end, and even then, it's not like that many people. But
Yeah, but that still gave us that sense of satisfaction.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't have that in this movie.
mhm.
There was like no sense of like that kind of satisfaction. There's no sense of dread. But in this, I guess there was like a sense, I don't know, like he like kind of growth for him. But I don't know. I guess I just wasn't very invested in the characters, which is also my fault too for being, kind of standoffish with them.
Mhm.
Because right away, like I loved Rose Byrne and I love like Cillian Murphy. I love like you like all the characters in the movies when you're watching it. You're rooting for freaking what's his name, Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
And in this, I was just like,
No, that's another good point. Where for this one, yeah, I'm with you on that. It's like I cared about the father, but it's not so much about the character. It was more that like, oh, it's Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's kick ass. Like I want him to make it, and but I did care, and I did care about the kid though. Like I think he did a really great acting job. But to your point, it's like, yeah, like he's probably not gonna die. Like especially when the movie really, when you realize like, oh, it's all about him and his journey, like specifically. It's like, okay, well, he's gonna be fine. And yeah, Ray Fiennes I really liked, but again, that was another one where it's like, well, I care more about Ray Fiennes than I care about Doctor or whatever his name was. I don't even remember his name.
dude, that's the thing. I
Yeah,
was like 3 times. Like, how
yeah,
exciting. But not even like, oh, the doctor. It was
yeah.
you know,
I
it
get
was
that.
I didn't get too connected to him. But I also feel like even though his journey, it just feels like his journey wasn't even that difficult or crazy. And I think another thing is like I was like the trauma after watching the other two movies, and that's why I'm saying like it's very unfair because I'm like the trauma of those kids, the trauma of like the very beginning, all that kind of stuff, everything. And I'm like, this seems just like, your mother got to pass very peacefully and nicely, and you got upset because you saw your dad hooking up with another girl. Oh no, like, but then I guess it does go back into you got to look at the whole thing. he is living this like sheltered life on the island. I don't know. It just didn't like pull me in. I wasn't very invested in it at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
I don't know that I completely bought that. Well, maybe now that I'm saying it out loud, upon the initial viewing, I don't know that I bought the fact that the kid would suddenly decide, like, I'm just going to stay out here and explore this dangerous world where I admittedly, couldn't hit anything with the damn arrow the day before or whatever. And just seems really like, wait, what? Like, because your dad was like, yeah, hooking up with some other chick, or because, your mom passed away. And now, so I don't know. I guess it is that, right? It's like I guess the fact that he lost his mother puts him in such a headspace that he's like, you know what? Like, this is it. This is what life is. I just got to move on and figure it out on my own, I suppose.
Maybe that also goes hand in hand. Like, he isn't 15. He is only 12 years old. So he's
Yeah.
kind of dumb still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's why they did like, he's young and he's dumb. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm gonna be out here by myself. I can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe that all goes hand in hand. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all I got for this one. 28 years later. Interesting movie.
Wow, very interesting. I say we watch it again in a few months and do this again and see how we feel.
Then revisit it.
I say we revisit it because, man, I just revisited like, 28 days, 28 weeks, and I had ideas in my head and I say we revisit it in a few months when I clear my palate.
I'm down. I don't know if I'll do it months from now, but I am down to possibly like re-record on that. So I kind of want to see it again while it's still in theaters. So yeah, maybe a couple weeks or something. But I would be up for that.
Let's do a few weeks and then we can re-record when after, like maybe I'll forget about like the first two and try to like take in more of what it's giving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still worth a watch.
Yeah, go see it, everybody.
They're great.
and that's the thing. I do feel that anyone who's like really into it definitely already saw it this weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, how long is it gonna just stay in the running, I guess is the question.
I'm excited because I was like, I'm not going to read anything. I'm not going to look at any reviews until after I see it. And now I'm going to go see what like everybody's saying because I'm very interested in what everybody's saying.
That has been I've only watched a couple so far, but that's been
good or bad.
Very similar to us, and I've read a couple where they really liked it and all that, and others where it was the same, like the dude I mentioned before from the Matt and Mark movie show, like his review was longer than mine, but also kind of like the same, like a sense of like you walk out of the theater and you almost like it takes you a second to like really kind of compute how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Which might be good that it took us a couple days to do this, at least for me, because I know you just got back from seeing it, but I got to like sit on it for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. There's a lot of mixed out there, more so like WTF and, fucking tracksuit ninjas. That's the big moment.
What
right
a way to
there.
end a freaking movie, dude. I was just like, what the shit?
Especially with the, like we said, the kind of more spiritual, deeper, artistic approach, perhaps, and then to like end on that note.
I mean, I wonder if that's also because, they're like, yeah, we did give his mom such a gentle death. Like, let's just fucking show a bunch of like just destroying in the most ridiculous way a bunch of zombies. Like, what?
Yeah.
It was just crazy. The show was just crazy. But yeah, other than that, everybody should definitely check out this movie. Check out the one if you haven't seen 1 and 2. So watch those after this.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, that's a wrap on this one, everybody. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of this movie. I'm curious to hear from more people. And yeah, we'll definitely revisit it in a few weeks and kind of see what happens. All right. Anyway, that's a wrap. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Drinks and Movie Podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks in a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksinAmoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.